Hello and welcome back to another FPL captaincy video. Last week we continued our run of jumping back on the horse with our double digit captaincy pointers, and Cole Palmer ended up getting us a 28 pointer. Now it was pretty difficult to go wrong last week. Salah, Saka, Palmer all returning with double digit hauls. We only really would have messed up had we picked Erling Haaland again. So yeah, Palmer ended up the second highest points behind Saka in terms of our four captaincy picks. He did outscore Salah though, which was nice, who we're expecting to be one of the more popular picks for game week 13. Now obviously our two picks, that we were kind of debating between was Saka and Palmer, so it was good to see Palmer not fall too far behind Saka, despite playing after him and watching Saka pull out an 18-point haul. So nice to see Palmer picking up 28 points. We have the same four picks again, so let's go have a look at them. So Salah, Haaland, Saka and Palmer once again all making the video. A little bit more difficult fixtures this week. Last week it seemed fairly straightforward. This week, we now have an away fixture to Newcastle for Mo Salah, a home fixture for Erling Haaland against Nottingham Forest. I think any other season that would be, a straight captaincy on Erling Haaland, but Forest are looking very, very solid this season. We have a home fixture for Bukayo Saka against Manchester United, who obviously just beat Everton 4-0 at home under new manager Ruben Amorim. And then we've got Cole Palmer as well, on paper looking like the best captaincy pick away to Southampton. So let's take a look at our stats and see if that's going to be true. So for predicted points this week, it is very, very even across the board, especially when we're looking at Fantasy Football Hub. You can see it is Palmer who has the most with 7.7 this week, and then right below him, again, everyone within 0.1 of each other. Haaland is the second with 7.3, Salah with 7.2, and then Saka with 7.1. Now when we take a look at FPL team, it's a lot more spread out. So Palmer once again is the highest with 7.1, followed by Haaland at 7. So Haaland is the second highest for predicted points this week, ahead of both Salah and Saka. And then, for FPL team, they've got Saka and Salah doing pretty poorly this week, obviously due to the opposition. Saka with 5.4 points against Manchester United at home. And then Salah's the lowest this week on FPL team with 5.3 against Newcastle. Now looking at our seasonal stats for X minutes this week, it is once again 90-minute men essentially across the board, apart from Bukayo Saka, who has 86 expected minutes, so nothing really too concerning with that. For XG, it is Haaland, of course, who still leads the way at 12.2, and again, we have pretty much been looking at that same number for about 5-6 weeks now. I don't think it's really rose whatsoever. His goal tally hasn't changed either, he's still sitting at 12. Salah is slowly catching him with a 9.6 expected goals, and he's only one goal behind him now as well, and obviously has those 7 assists to his name, whereas Haaland is still on 0. For Saka, he's leading the way in expected assists with 5. He picked up 3 assists in game week 13, and he now takes his tally up to 11, so ahead of Salah by 4 and ahead of Palmer by 6, but everyone is fairly overperforming their expected assists so far this season. Salah's only got 2.7 expected, Saka's only got 5, Palmer's only got 2.6, so it's just something to keep in mind. And then once again for our return chances, very, very close for everyone. It is Haaland this week with the highest chance of a return at 68%, followed by Saka in second at 66%, Palmer down at 65%, and then once again it is Salah who is the lowest at 61% this week. And then for our odds, once again, it is Haaland, where he is actually pretty favoured. So if you do still own Haaland, it is looking like he is pretty much backed by the stats this week. He has 56% chance of scoring and then 23% chance of scoring 2 or more. He is the highest of our 4 players. Second is Cole Palmer at 48%, and then 15% to score 2 goals. And third it is Mo Salah with a 43% chance of scoring and a 13% chance of 2 goals. And then in last place for a goal it is Bukayo Saka with 38% for 1 and then a 10% chance for 2. When it comes to the opponent's clean sheets, it is Southampton with the lowest chance of a clean sheet against Chelsea this week. No real surprises there. And second is Nottingham Forest with the second lowest chance of a clean sheet against Man City. Then it's United against Arsenal, and with the highest chance this week is Newcastle with a 17% chance of keeping a clean sheet against Liverpool. Now, for I believe the first time this season, we do have midweek games, and our game week 14 does take place on Tuesday and Wednesday. There might be a game on Thursday as well, I'm not too sure, but everyone on this list is playing on Wednesday. So in terms of rest, it is Saka who gets the biggest advantage, as he was the only one to play on Saturday over the weekend. So he's getting that extra day's rest, which is kind of useful to know, because as we saw, Saka had the least expected minutes. You would think, he's more prone to a substitute than everyone else, so it's good to know that he does have that extra day of rest, whereas if he had the same 2 days as everyone else, it was kind of likely that we would see an earlier substitution, potentially in the 70th minute or early 60th minute. Everyone else is playing with the 2 days rest. Obviously after Manchester City and Liverpool, it's a big game, making the Wednesday game a little bit tougher because of how much had to be put in for that. Obviously last week we also had Champions League games, so you're talking 4 games in 2 weeks now. So again, in terms of advantages, it's probably Cole Palmer who gets that here, because I believe this is the first time this season where he has had to play 2 games within a week. Obviously him not being included in the Conference League squad does give him a lot extra rest over other players. So for set pieces, once again, there is no changes to last week in terms of the listed set piece takers. Everyone, of course, is on penalties on this list. However, Bukayo Saka obviously gave his penalty away to Odegaard. That wasn't a change in penalty taker. Obviously, we've seen them rotate them before. I did mention it in last week's video that it could happen. Obviously, then it ended up happening, but we did get confirmation in the post-match interview that Odegaard wanted to take the penalty and Saka was happy to give it to him. So unfortunate if you were on a Saka captaincy, because that would have meant a massive haul and an even bigger gap against the likes of Palmer and Salah captainers. But it is just something to keep in mind. Obviously Saka is the primary penalty taker for Arsenal, but there is instances where he is going to give them to Odegaard. Still on free kicks, still does take some corners as well though, which is beneficial. But Cole Palmer is our main man here, who is on all set pieces, takes all the free kicks, does take the corners as well, and of course is on the penalties. So opposition defences this time, we do have a good mix of defences, a couple sitting about the middle of the pack. We have one of the best defences in the league, and we've also got one of the worst defences in the league as well. So starting off with Mo Salah up against Newcastle, they are the 13th worst defence for expected goals conceded at 16.7, and they have conceded a little bit less than that with only 14 goals conceded. Now when you're looking at the chances, they only have 32 chances conceded from that side that Salah obviously plays on, which is a little bit less than a lot of your other teams. Man United have a lot less than that, but the likes of Nottingham Forest and Southampton have actually conceded more chances down Salah's side than Newcastle have, so a little bit stronger of a defence. Obviously considering the likes of Nottingham Forest being one of the strongest defences with the third best expected goals conceded, they've also conceded more chances down Salah's side than Newcastle have this season. So it is Newcastle's strongest side, so it's just something to keep in mind. We've also seen Salah very low in the predicted points and stuff, so it could maybe second guess you a little bit if you are looking at a Salah captaincy this week. For Erling Haaland, 65 chances down the middle up against the third best defence in Nottingham Forest, only 13 goals conceded as well so far, so they are kind of on par with the expected, how you would be expecting them to do so far. But as I said, 65 chances conceded down the middle isn't really too much, but again, he is one of the highest for odds, you know, XG and everything this week. The bookies are backing him to end that run of bad form. However, again, like I mentioned, it is still Nottingham Forest, and they are still one of the best defences in the league so far. So would you be captaining them? Probably not. Do you still own them? Again, that's probably not as well. With Saka, they are playing Manchester United, who are the 7th worst defence in the league, so not really doing too great. They have 20 expected goals conceded, but they've also only conceded 13, so they should have conceded a lot more than they have so far. So could put that down to either, you know, a lot of big chances missed against them, or, you know, Onana bailing them out. I think Onana is actually the highest scoring goalkeeper so far in the league as well. So yeah, Onana seeming to be saving United quite a lot. Again, in terms of chances conceded, United one of the lowest in the league for chances conceded down the Saka's side with 23. So again, another one where maybe won't do too well. Again, it is still Saka. He's returning basically every single game he plays in right now, but United are fairly strong down that side, so something to keep in mind. Then we have Cole Palmer up against the 2nd worst defence in the league, only behind Ipswich. It is Southampton with 27 expected goals conceded and 25 goals conceded in their first 13 games. So almost 2 goals conceded per match for Southampton, and more than 10 goals conceded than everyone else on this list. Southampton do. Obviously, Palmer plays through the middle along with Nicholas Jackson, and Southampton have 104 chances conceded down the middle, which is only behind I want to say Brentford, who have 106 chances down the middle. They are the worst for chances down the middle, and Southampton are sitting in 2nd for those centrally. So with that being said, we have went for Cole Palmer for our Game Week 14 captain. He done as well in Game Week 13, hoping that he can do even better in Game Week 14 against a worse opponent than he had last week. Obviously Aston Villa at home last week, he's now playing Southampton away. In terms of why we picked him, as you can see on screen, he does have the highest expected points on both websites. Both Fantasy Football Hub and FPL team are expecting him to do the best of our 4 players. He's up against the worst defender, the worst defence of our premiums. He is on all set pieces, of course, and the best chances positionally, as we've already spoke about, and it obviously mentioned that as well, that Southampton are the 2nd worst defence for chances conceded down the centre. Now, in terms of everything else, you know, your odds and everything, they were favouring Haaland, but Palmer was sitting in 2nd for basically everything on that. On those metrics. Obviously Haaland has been in really poor form recently. If you even own him still, you probably don't want to be sticking the armband on him. So for me, it's gonna be Cole Palmer. Again, in terms of the differential captains, I do like to include one every now and then, but we're probably only going to do it for weeks where the captaincy is a very difficult choice, or all of our premiums have a difficult fixture. So this week there's not going to be a differential captain. I think Palmer is a pretty standout one against Southampton away. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments section. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe as well if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next one.